Alright vlog, we're gonna get right into it. Today's video is gonna be about why you should invest in your career. So what do we think of when we hear the word invest? Put money into. The definition says, expend money with the expectation of achieving a profit or material result by putting it into financial plans, shares, property, or using it to develop a commercial venture. So with all of that Webster's being said, it's so important to invest in your career. What I mean by this is buy the expensive camera, buy the new phone, buy the SD card reader, buy the new lens, buy the expensive thing that you have been letting sit in your cart for entirely too long. Yes, I'm talking to you. I get it, like trust, I get it. Life is expensive. This glass is expensive. This glass is expensive. I get it. I trust. But the reason why I'm making today's video is because I'm trying to emphasize the importance of it and how far it can actually take you when you make the conscious choice to invest in yourself, invest in your career, and then invest in your future. So let's run it back a little bit. We're gonna start with the story time. We're gonna take it all the way back to 2018, and in 2018 I was gifted my first camera, and that camera was a Canon 80D. I just searched it up, and looking online, it is currently sold for $299 on Canon's website. This camera was released in 2016, so at the time I hit the jackpot, and that was my first DSLR camera, my first big camera. With that camera, I was doing shoots of my friends, I was doing shoots of my family, taking pictures of really anything that I saw, anything that I liked, and really just like immersing myself into that photography world. That camera is also very pivotal. Okay. That camera is very pivotal in my photography career. Why? Because it was my first, and two, it's what I started my sports photography journey with as well. This is when I started broadcasting services, when I started announcing like, this is what I like, this is what I want to do, and whatnot. This camera is old now, and I thank this old camera because, like I said, it started my career. This is the camera that I shot my Michigan State sports part of my portfolio, where I was shooting men's football, men's and women's basketball, women's gymnastics, men's hockey, men's and women's track and field. This is the camera that like started my portfolio. A couple vlogs back when I was talking in my How Did I Work My Way into the Sports Industry video, I was talking about keep shooting, and that is an instance where I was taking my own advice and I was shooting like crazy. It literally didn't matter if I was doing it on an iPhone, on a Canon 80D, on whatever it was, I was shooting. That's the importance of that piece. I shot all of my Michigan State sports on that camera. Throughout that time, I had the 18-55 lens that came with the camera on that camera, and I recognized that this lens can't see very far. So I made the executive decision to start doing some really thorough research on what lens would not only elevate my sports photography, but what lens can I afford as a broke college kid, to be frank. The research that I was able to pull up was the 70-200 f4. And at the time, I think I spent $350 to $400 on my lens. I saved up so much money, and I was so proud of myself because I found it used online, and I ended up buying it, and it was my first like big girl purchase. I was so proud of myself, like saving up that much money at 18, 19, whatever, and I bought my first big lens. And the handy dandy lens that I still have today. She is so cute, and this is just so monumental for me because I still use it to this day. It really just depends on what type of shoot that I'm doing, but when I was 18 or 19, I took the chance and I invested in my career. In this chunk of the story time, I started with the Canon 80D. I had the 18-55 lens that it came with, and then I invested in my future and bought the 70-200 f4 for Canon EF lens, and it took my content to another level. Now, we fast forward a little bit. I graduated from Michigan State in May of 2021, and in my How I Worked My Way into the Sports Industry vlog, I talked about my struggles and the things that I went through in order to land my first job in sports. In that time period, prior to accepting my job with the Chicago Red Stars, I was doing work with Michigan State University Gymnastics. I kept my connections from Michigan State, and I ended up reaching out. I asked if I could still shoot, and they said yes, thankfully. And on the day of this gymnastics meet, I think it was like a Saturday, I had about an hour drive to East Lansing, but right before I left, as I mentioned in my other vlog, I have no idea what came over me, but like something said, go upgrade your camera. And I was like, okay, I wasn't planning on doing this today, but now it's top of mind and I have to do it. So I went to Norman's Camera in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Awesome camera shop, has everything that you could literally ever possibly need. And I started looking at cameras. I was expressing to the workers, like, this camera's old, I need something new, I have a big shoot tonight, and I am just looking for that next step in my camera. At the time I was 22, so I was like, simply didn't have money like that still. I was working at an internship, I wasn't making crazy money at the time, I was still living at home, so again, I just needed an affordable next step, and I needed something that, yes, would not break the bank, but would help me elevate my content. So I ended up going with the Canon 7D, and I do not have it with me at the moment. It's currently at my office, but I bought that camera body, and on the 7D came my 17 to 55 millimeter 2.8 that I use all the time. So got that camera, got that new lens. I ended up trading in my old camera. Bless that camera's heart. Ugh, I loved it. Definitely got me to a new spot. So left Norman's Camera, and I was on my way to East Lansing to shoot the gymnastics meet. It was first discussed that I was just gonna be taking photo, because at the time, that's all that I did, that's what I went to college for, and that's what I specialized in. When I got to the meet, for absolutely no reason, well, there was a reason, I just didn't have time to troubleshoot it, my camera was not focusing. The focus was, I swear, like everywhere but where I needed it to be, aka the gymnast. And I was just getting so frustrated, and I knew that gymnastics meets are only a few hours long, and I needed to capture something, and I needed to have something to deliver. I tried video that night. It ended up changing the trajectory of my career, and I went from Tara Janae Photos to Tara Janae Media in a day. And I ended up widening my range of what I could capture and what I liked. This mishap with this camera, aka I just didn't set it up yet, genuinely changed my life. To go from starting from my 80D and then my 18 to 55 and then upgrading to my 70 to 200 and then capturing sports photos, which opened up the door for me to sports photography and really showing me what I really loved and what I'm really passionate about, to then fast forwarding to post-graduation, still no job in the sports industry quite yet, still working and still pushing to shoot sports and really just widen my portfolio, and one day randomly decide to switch up my camera, and then I just started making video, which is crazy, unbelievable. But then I landed a job with the Red Stars in April of 2022. I still had the same camera and I was still trying to make video with it, but my coworkers were using Sony cinema cameras at the time, so my quality of work just like was not matching to a Sony cinema camera. It was good and it was better, but the quality just like was not matching, so I ended up just sticking to photo when I used this camera, but I was like itching to create something. I then dove back into the internet and started to do some more research of what's the next best camera for me and what I want to do. There are so many websites that I ended up looking at where I was doing like Canon 7D comparison to the Canon R6, the Canon R5, the Canon 5D Mark, whatever. I was doing so much research, and I actually think I filled up half of a notebook of notes of these cameras, prices of these cameras, where I can get them, and I went ham. My final option was the Canon R6. Throughout that research, I did a ton on DSLR versus mirrorless. Why should I make the switch? Is it worth the thousands of extra dollars? Which, yes, it is. Really doing a deep dive, because if I was gonna spend a couple $1,000s, I needed to know that this a couple $1,000s was going to benefit me somehow in the end. This was my big purchase that I made in the spring of 2023. I ended up buying the Canon R6 body, and then I also bought this EF to RF adapter with the control ring, and altogether that costed me about $2,000. I ended up getting my R6 body and the adapter on Sammy's camera. Woo! Let me tell you, that hurt the pockets, like in unimaginable ways. That hurt my pockets, but it elevated my content, my work, my output, engagement. It was life-changing. In the 2023 season, I ended up shooting video for every single home match and the 4 to 5 away matches that I traveled to for the Chicago Red Stars. I left each game with either a sick highlight clip that was 8 seconds or a game recap, depending on how much footage that I captured. Not only was my content, along with the amazing content team that I worked on, not only elevating the athletes and their athleticism and their ability, it was also helping elevate the pages and bring more people to the page and more fans and more engagement. Then I started posting these videos on Tara Janae Media, which is what you're watching this from right now, and my other social platforms, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. That started bringing people to my page as well. Not only was I posting motivational stuff about keep pushing pushing and keep trying and keep working, just because it's a very tough industry. Watching my old work versus the work that I can create with this new camera, night and day. The quality is night and day. It's so much better, and it's really taken my work from here to here. As I started creating content, I ended up getting a title change at the Red Stars from social media manager to manager of social media and content. That happened because I was creating so much content for the team, and I really wanted the title to reflect what I was doing for the organization and for the team, and that one was most fitting. So I was shooting an insane amount of content. I had a ton on my portfolio already. I had Michigan State athletics. I was doing the Chicago Red Stars. I got to shoot the US women's national team during my time in Chicago. I was just doing everything that I could to keep my hands on my camera and to continue to create content. Next up, what we're filming on. I'm currently filming on a Canon G7X Mark III. Believe it or not, you probably do believe it, because if you go back and watch, you can probably tell by the audio and the weird focus issues that I was having. But on my first few vlogs, my match day vlogs, I was literally filming on my R6 with this lens and holding it like this, trying to make a vlog of what I was doing and trying to capture as much as I could, because I was like actively shooting a game and shooting myself on my camera. So I was like, there has to be a better solution for this. I ended up looking online, and this is when I was a bit nervous to make vlogs and make videos, which, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I still am. I am winging it at this point, and I am just putting myself out there and going out of my comfort zone. But I ended up looking up cameras. I was like, best point and shoot camera, best point and shoot camera for video, best vlogging camera, best whatever. And again, did my deep dive in the internet and was trying to find the best camera that I could use for making videos like this, but also taking photos on and to take with me on trips or whatever I was doing. I just wanted a camera that was kind of the best of both worlds, and at this point I've thrown affordability out of the window. I say that because the proof was in the pudding for me of being able to see the benefits of investing in your career. I went from this $200 camera to, I think I spent $700 on my 7D with my 17 to 55 after my trade-in. And then I spent $2,000 on my R6. And at this point, I'm like, okay, upgrading your equipment works, and investing in yourself and in your future works. And my two options were the Sony ZV-1 and the Canon G7X Mark III. I ended up going with the Canon G7X because I'm a Canon girly at heart. I use Canon for literally everything. I just like the color profile better, the reviews were better, the capabilities were better in my opinion, and I ended up going with this camera. This camera cost me about $750-ish, and again, a life-changing investment. I no longer have to carry around my R6 and vlog myself the way that I was doing. I can have this pocket-sized camera literally on me at all times, which it literally is. I take pictures on this camera several times a week, if not every day. Again, just an example of an amazing investment. So around the time that I bought this camera, it was January of 2024. I was reaching a point around that time that I wanted to take the next step in my career. I ended up going through the interview process with the Portland Trail Blazers and ended up accepting the role. And now I am a digital content specialist for the Portland Trail Blazers. It is May 2024, and looking back to about 2018, I have shot Big Ten sports, I've shot European basketball, I've shot the MLS, the NWSL, the US women's national team, and now the NBA. After that mouthful, my main point is invest in your career. You genuinely never know where it can take you. I'm still on my path and continuing to create and continuing to upgrade, and I literally can only say positive things about upgrading. Starting from where I started at and having the gear that I have right now has literally only propelled me forward. I do have a wish list, and I am actively doing my deep dive onto the internet of what is my next buy, continuing to upgrade and to continue to invest in my future, because looking at my sports photos from 2018 to looking at my sports photos in 2024, there is a huge difference. Not only in editing style, but in quality, and also as I've deepened my education into photography and into the sports media world, my framing has changed and several other things have changed. It's so important to take that leap, and again, as I was kind of mentioning before, it is expensive. To be transparent, like, I bought my R6 on my credit card. $2,000 is a lot of money, and $10,000 on that lens is a lot of money. And this is not a speech to max out your credit cards, because don't do that. Not my point. Please. My point is investing in yourself and in your career does take you far, and I'm speaking from personal experience. And my hope for today's video, by sharing my background, sharing the importance of investment, and really just being transparent about my journey throughout the sports industry, really help someone. That's my main goal. As I said before, it's a tough industry, and being able to elevate your work matters. The more you create, the better. And I've personally found a lot more joy within my content and content creation as a whole as I continue to grow and get better at it. As we sign off, I am probably now about to go do a deep dive on the internet and I'm going to look for most likely my next lens for my camera gear, and I'm going to sign off with invest in your career. Hopefully this helps someone, and like and comment and subscribe and stay tuned for my next video.